Like, whatever, it's a message to all the people out there that whatever their dream is, that they should never give up.
I don't wanna die. I sometimes wish I'd never been born.
In a world obsessed with fame, flash, and fortune, Angelina Jordan remains a curious outlier, a teen sensation with a voice that echoes jazz legends, a presence that stuns crowds into silence, and yet, no signs of the typical millionaire lifestyle that surrounds today's young stars. There are no Lamborghini selfies, no diamond-studded wardrobes, and certainly no mansion walkthroughs filmed for the gram. Instead, she walks barefoot on some of the world's most prestigious stages, her style vintage and understated, her voice soaked in soul and sorrow, far beyond her years. But behind the haunting melodies and quiet grace, there's a much bigger story unfolding. One that fans, financial analysts, and even industry insiders are only beginning to piece together. What if the girl who seems to shy away from fame is actually building something far more powerful, a slow-burning empire rooted in artistic integrity, global respect, and financial strategy? What if the modest posts and low-key lifestyle are not just personal choices, but carefully calculated decisions made to protect something much larger, a growing net worth that's quietly climbing into seven-figure territory without ever shouting about it? As whispers swirl online about her secret deals, private performances, and strategic brand choices, the question grows louder. Is Angelina Jordan secretly one of the smartest and most well-managed young artists of our time? And how much is that silent empire truly worth in 2025? From barefoot stages to exclusive United Nations performances, from viral clips to royalty-backed royalties, we're about to peel back the curtain on a career that refuses to play by Hollywood's rules, and yet might just be winning the game anyway. But to understand how this quiet genius came to quietly conquer the world, we have to rewind the clock to a moment on live television when the world stopped and listened to a 7-year-old with no shoes and a song full of heartbreak. And that's where this story begins. It all began in 2014 when a barefoot 7-year-old girl stepped onto the stage of Norway's Got Talent, dressed simply and standing silently before unleashing a voice so haunting and mature that it left the entire auditorium frozen in disbelief. Her name? Angelina Jordan. Her song? The notoriously melancholic, gloomy Sunday. A ballad drenched in sorrow that few adults dare to perform, let alone a child. But what unfolded wasn't just a performance. It was a phenomenon. The crowd didn't cheer immediately. They sat stunned, breath held, as if trying to process how such raw, soul-wrenching emotion could come from someone so young. Within hours, clips of her audition spread like wildfire across YouTube and social media, crossing language barriers and cultural boundaries. Headlines erupted not only across Norway, but in Asia, Europe, and the United States, dubbing her the old soul in a child's body. Vocal coaches scrambled to analyze her tone. Jazz lovers likened her phrasing to Billie Holiday and Ella Fitzgerald. And the world collectively asked, who is this child? And how is this even possible? But it wasn't just her voice that made people stop scrolling. It was the story behind the bare feet. Angelina would later explain that her decision to perform shoeless was a tribute to a homeless girl she met in the Middle East who had no shoes. That small silent gesture turned into a global symbol of compassion. And suddenly, Angelina wasn't just a contestant. She was a movement. Fan edits, tribute videos, and articles flooded the internet. Overnight, she wasn't simply a talent show winner. She became a global sensation, wrapped in mystery, empathy, and vocal brilliance. Millions viewed her performance, and thousands commented on how her voice made them cry, how they felt seen, how they couldn't believe this wasn't a fully grown jazz artist, reincarnated into the body of a child. The phrase, "she's not like the others," echoed through forums and blogs. Angelina had done what even major label artists struggle to achieve. She made the world feel something real, and while most child stars might have burned out in the glow of that viral moment, Angelina Jordan was only just getting started, because what came next would catapult her from European prodigy to American household name, and reignite a fire that had been quietly growing behind the scenes. 6 years after conquering hearts in Norway, Angelina Jordan re-emerged onto the world stage in 2020, and this time, she was aiming straight for the entertainment capital of the world, appearing on America's Got Talent, The Champions, a stage reserved for the most iconic and memorable talents from across the globe. Angelina brought with her not just a voice, but a presence that left an indelible mark. Still barefoot, still dressed in her signature vintage style, she stood in quiet confidence before delivering a soul-bending rendition of Queen's legendary Bohemian Rhapsody. But this wasn't the Queen you knew. Angelina reinvented it, slowing it down, twisting its operatic drama into something intimate, heartbreaking, and completely unexpected. The room froze, judges leaned in, viewers at home forgot to blink. Within moments, Heidi Klum smashed the golden buzzer, showering the stage in confetti and sending Angelina straight to the finals. But the real explosion wasn't on that stage. It was online. That performance racked up millions of views in hours, sparking Twitter storms, trending hashtags, and an avalanche of reaction videos. Suddenly, Angelina was no longer just a Norwegian prodigy. She was a global phenomenon. American audiences, notoriously hard to impress, were captivated. Talk shows, news outlets, and music blogs raced to feature her. But what truly set her apart was how different she felt from everything else on TV. No pyrotechnics, no overproduced drama. Just a girl, a microphone, and a voice that whispered secrets into your soul. Her song choice, vocal phrasing, and emotional control weren't just good, they were masterful. Music insiders began whispering that she wasn't just a talent, she was a once-in-a-generation voice. Fans dissected everything, from the tilt of her head to the emotion in her hands. While she didn't end up winning the final trophy, Angelina walked away with something infinitely more valuable: America's full attention. Her name spiked in Google Trends, her Spotify numbers surged, and her YouTube subscribers exploded. Behind the scenes, the industry took note, and while most people were caught up in the golden buzzer moment, Angelina was already laying the foundation for a much bigger move, a transition from viral child star to serious recording artist. And it all started with one powerful question, echoing through Hollywood: who's going to sign this girl? Not long after her AGT triumph shook the internet, Angelina Jordan made a move that signaled a sharp departure from fleeting fame and towards something far more strategic. She signed a recording contract with Republic Records, one of the most powerful music labels in the world. This wasn't some publicity stunt or opportunistic teen idol deal. It was a calculated pivot, designed to transform her from viral sensation to full-fledged artist with creative longevity. And the moment that pen hit paper, Angelina began curating a sound that was unmistakably hers. Soulful, stripped back, and emotionally raw. Her debut single, Under Republic, Million Miles, became an instant showcase of her evolution. Unlike the glitzy, auto-tuned debuts of many young stars, Angelina delivered an aching ballad filled with lyrical maturity that stunned even the most skeptical listeners. Fans praised the emotional resonance, the minimal production, and her ability to make grief sound beautiful. But that was only the beginning. Singles like Love Don't Let Me Go and Now I'm the Fool soon followed. each one a subtle flex of her growing songwriting skills and artistic identity. Instead of rushing to drop an album, Angelina and her team adopted a slow drip strategy, spacing out singles to keep the audience engaged while avoiding overexposure. It worked. Her Spotify monthly listeners passed the 1 million mark. Her YouTube view counts climbed into the tens of millions. And suddenly her music wasn't just viral, it was sustainable. Her voice became a staple on playlists curated for deep feels, heartbreak, and timeless jazz vibes. Angelina wasn't trying to chase TikTok trends or pop radio formulas. She wasn't dumbing down her artistry for the algorithm. She was quietly cultivating a fan base that would stick around for the long haul. And the revenue followed. Streaming royalties from Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube began to form a reliable income stream. But more importantly, each release added to her brand equity as a serious artist with depth, vision, and integrity. The Republic Records deal didn't just launch her music career. It gave her the tools, distribution, and freedom to build a legacy, not just a moment. And while other young stars flamed out trying to go viral again and again, Angelina was already playing the long game, crafting songs that would age like wine while growing a catalog that whispered one clear message: she's not going anywhere. While Angelina Jordan's public-facing career was growing through singles and streaming platforms, the real financial engine humming beneath the surface came from something far less visible: exclusive performances and strategic licensing deals. Long before she ever stepped foot on the AGT stage in Los Angeles, Angelina had already built a reputation among the elite as a voice worthy of rooms that few artists, especially teenage ones, are ever invited into. She had performed for Nobel Peace Prize audiences in Oslo, entertained diplomats and dignitaries at international summits, and delivered heart-wrenching songs at humanitarian events attended by heads of state and royalty. These weren't just high-profile gigs. They were ultra-exclusive performances with payouts that often reached 5 figures per appearance. When other artists were posting concert selfies and tour bus vlogs, Angelina was quietly slipping into embassies, private ballrooms, and cultural galas to sing for a who's who of global influencers, decision makers, and billionaires. One particularly viral moment came when she sang barefoot at the United Nations, addressing childhood trauma through music, stunning a room full of world leaders into a rare reflective silence. These moments weren't just performances, they were statements. And the checks that came with them dwarfed what most young musicians earn from typical tours. Simultaneously, she began tapping into one of the music industry's most lucrative and under-the-radar revenue streams: licensing. Her songs, with their cinematic emotion and vintage flair, became prime material for sync placements. Those subtle yet profitable background tracks in ads, documentaries, and streaming series. Though these deals were never blasted across her social media or shouted through press releases, insiders noted her music showing up in European commercials and indie films with polished soundtracks. And because Angelina owns much of her master catalogue and operates with a tight in-house team, the royalties from these placements go straight into her pocket without being chopped up by third-party licensing agencies. In other words, while the world was watching YouTube, Angelina was cashing checks from places no one even knew to look. This layer of income, low profile but high value, proved that she wasn't just a performer, but a portfolio artist. Every note she sang behind closed doors, every subtle licensing placement, and every handshake deal with cultural institutions contributed to a hidden empire that built wealth without the world even realizing it. And it would only expand as she grew older, wiser, and even more in demand. behind the velvet curtain of Angelina Jordan's understated career lies a name that sent quiet shockwaves through the music world. Quincy Jones. Yes, that Quincy Jones, the legendary producer behind Michael Jackson's most iconic albums, a titan of the industry with an ear so finely tuned, he can spot timeless talent from across the globe. And when Quincy saw Angelina perform, he didn't just applaud, he took her under his wing. This wasn't a PR move or a passing compliment for clout. It was a genuine connection between a seasoned maestro and a rising artist who defied all expectations of age, genre, and marketability. Quincy once called her one of the most promising young voices in the world, and coming from the man who shaped the careers of the biggest musical legends in history, that endorsement was gold. But more than just symbolic praise, Quincy's guidance opened doors that few teenagers ever walk through. His network, vast and global, offered Angelina access to curated high-end performances, elite music gatherings, and industry minds that shape the sound of the future. And unlike the factory-made pop stars churned out by corporate talent machines, Angelina was being groomed in an entirely different direction, toward artistic integrity, longevity, and elite musical credibility. This meant less focus on commercial hits and more emphasis on story, tone, and soul. She began appearing at private events so exclusive they never made it to Instagram. Performances were carefully selected, audiences handpicked, and every appearance designed not for mass virality, but for cultural impact. In this rarefied world of jazz clubs, embassies, and UNESCO-backed summits, Angelina's barefoot performances became not just showcases of talent, but of authenticity and restraint. While others flooded TikTok to chase attention, she was building a quiet legend among the global elite. It's a space few artists ever touch, and even fewer are invited into. And it was only possible because someone like Quincy Jones recognized that Angelina Jordan wasn't meant to be the next big pop trend. She was meant to be something rarer, a timeless voice curated for high society, legacy stages, and the kind of wealth that comes not from hype, but from staying power. With Quincy whispering behind the scenes, and the world still catching up, Angelina was no longer just a prodigy. She was a quiet powerhouse, with the keys to a kingdom few could even see. In an industry where celebrity teens are often plastered on billboards, hawking everything from energy drinks to fast fashion, Angelina Jordan has chosen a completely different lane, one marked not by loud endorsements or viral brand deals, but by subtlety, aesthetic consistency, and a quiet refusal to sell out. At first glance, it might seem like she's simply not interested in commercial work. Her social media is devoid of ad tags. There are no beauty sponsorships, no influencer-style haul videos, and no signs of mainstream collaborations. But a closer look reveals something far more strategic. Angelina is curating her brand so carefully that even her silence speaks volumes. Industry insiders have long speculated that luxury and vintage-inspired fashion houses have taken a deep interest in her. With her signature 1940s gowns, jazz club-inspired visuals, and minimalist on-screen presence, she's the embodiment of classic elegance, something luxury brands crave in a sea of fast turnover influencers. Certain music videos display high-end art direction, uniquely tailored sets, and wardrobe choices far beyond the average production budget, raising eyebrows about potential silent backers or brand partnerships. There are also whispers of limited edition fashion content in European markets, niche magazine spreads that rarely feature artists without commercial agendas, and product placements so soft they blend seamlessly into her visual identity. This isn't branding as most people know it, it's brand elevation through mystique, and this subtle alignment with vintage luxury opens up doors to deals with companies that value depth and artistry over reach and followers. In an era where overexposure can kill credibility, Angelina's choice to not saturate her presence has ironically made her more valuable. Brands that do approach her likely face a high bar. The deal must align with her values, her aesthetic, and her artistic control. That exclusivity makes her even more desirable to boutique fashion lines, artistic designers, and heritage brands who want their products worn, not flaunted. While there's no confirmed list of sponsorships on the record, the signs are there, behind the lighting of her videos, the rare product shots in her performances, and the air of sophistication that suggests more is going on behind the scenes than meets the eye. Instead of grabbing every endorsement opportunity, Angelina is building a brand with the patience of a painter, brushstroke by brushstroke, refusing to let fast cash cheapen her image. And in doing so, she's creating something far more powerful than buzz. She's crafting a legacy with style, soul, and sustainability at its core. While many young artists are swept into the hands of corporate managers, PR firms, and profit-hungry labels, Angelina Jordan's career has been quietly safeguarded by the one thing Hollywood rarely accounts for: family. At the core of her empire is a tight-knit team led by her mother and grandmother, two women who have not only protected her from exploitation, but also helped her build a blueprint for sustainable success. Her grandmother, who famously inspired Angelina's barefoot symbolism, isn't just a sentimental figure in her journey. She's a co-author of Angelina's children's book, Between Two Hearts, which has been translated internationally and generates its own stream of royalties. This single venture added an unexpected literary arm to her income portfolio. But beyond books, this family-driven model has had far deeper implications. Unlike many child stars who sign away control for short-term fame, Angelina has retained significant creative and financial authority, giving her a larger share of every deal, from streaming payouts to licensing contracts. It's a rare structure in the music business, where the default is often a tangled mess of third-party fees and restrictive contracts. In Angelina's case, revenues from Spotify, YouTube, digital downloads, and even international sync placements are largely handled in-house, minimizing outside cuts and maximizing her personal earnings. This financial autonomy is one of the key reasons her net worth has continued to rise steadily, despite her relatively low public profile. The family doesn't just shield her from bad deals. They guide her toward meaningful ones that align with her values. That's why you'll never see her doing a bubblegum pop album or being pushed into genres that chase trends. Instead, her projects reflect her core identity: soul, compassion, and authenticity. The integrity behind her brand isn't just artistic, it's economic. By prioritizing long-term storytelling over viral fame, and by keeping corporate interests at bay, her family has ensured that every performance, every video, and every release isn't just a fleeting moment, it's a building block. This rare approach has also kept her emotionally grounded and free from the burnout and breakdowns that plague many in her industry. When you look at Angelina Jordan, you're not just seeing a musical prodigy, you're seeing a fully independent enterprise, managed by people who love her more than any contract ever could. And in an era when young artists are often commodities, Angelina remains something far more valuable: a sovereign artist whose career is as protected as it is profound. In a digital age where teen stars flaunt their net worth through private jets, luxury handbags, and $10 million mansions on YouTube, Angelina Jordan's lifestyle reads like a rejection letter to excess. There are no viral house tours, no flashy designer closets, no choreographed Instagram reels showcasing luxury vacations or brand name shopping hauls. Instead, Her online presence feels almost like a curated meditation on restraint. Her Instagram feed is filled with quiet moments. Her singing at the piano, behind-the-scenes rehearsal shots, soft-focus portraits, and the occasional glimpse of her family. The tone is always minimalist, deeply artistic, and shockingly modest for someone with millions of views and multiple revenue streams. It's not that she's avoiding fame, it's that she's defining it on her own terms. Interviews and sightings reveal that she splits her time between Oslo and Los Angeles, not in sprawling celebrity estates, but in temporary creative housing and artist residences. This is less about cutting corners and more about intention. Angelina appears to view space, travel, and lifestyle as extensions of her creative identity, not platforms for self-promotion. Her wardrobe tells the same story. Thrift store finds, vintage gowns, timeless silhouettes, no loud logos, no red carpet conformity. Every outfit seems selected not for flash, but for feeling. And that philosophy carries over into her finances. By intentionally avoiding the costs of luxury branding and lifestyle inflation, she protects her income and directs her energy toward what matters most, her music. While fans have speculated about potential property purchases in Norway or California, there's been no public confirmation and no tabloid leaks of expensive real estate or impulsive purchases. When she travels for performances, it's often with a small, discreet entourage and a focus on the stage, not the spectacle. Even her music videos avoid overproduction, favoring mood over money. This entire approach isn't just admirable, it's strategic. Angelina Jordan has crafted a public image rooted in humility, creativity, and financial intelligence. By steering clear of attention-hungry trends, she's quietly increasing her brand equity. Her lifestyle decisions reinforce a long-game mentality, where wealth is measured not in handbags or hype, but in freedom. Freedom to create, to rest, and to remain authentic in an industry that rewards spectacle over substance. In this way, Angelina isn't just living differently from her peers. She's rewriting the blueprint for what sustainable stardom looks like in 2025. And in doing so, she's turning Modesty into a superpower. After more than a decade of viral stardom, elite performances, international licensing, streaming royalties, and intentional brand management, the numbers are finally starting to surface, and they're telling a very different story than the one we're used to seeing in the glitzy world of teen celebrity. While Angelina Jordan may not broadcast her bank statements or pose beside supercars, financial analysts who've tracked her revenue streams estimate that by 2025, her net worth ranges between $1.5 million and $3 million. And the most surprising part? Every dollar of it has been built without gimmicks, scandals, or oversaturation. This wealth wasn't the result of a record-breaking album or a sold-out stadium tour. It was the cumulative power of diversified artistic income, YouTube ad revenue, Spotify and Apple Music royalties, digital downloads, and publishing rights from her original songs form the baseline. Add to that her co-authored children's book royalties, licensing fees from background syncs in ads and documentaries, and performance fees from private, VIP-only shows, some reportedly paying 5 figures per appearance, and the financial picture becomes clearer. But what makes her model so extraordinary is not just how she earns, it's how she saves. With no evidence of luxury spending, no brand addiction, and no entourage costs ballooning her overhead, Angelina's modest lifestyle means more of her earnings stay exactly where they belong, in her hands. Plus, the family-managed structure behind her empire minimizes third-party cuts, allowing her to retain a much higher percentage of every deal than most label-dependent artists her age. This net worth may seem small compared to Billboard chart toppers, But Angelina isn't in the same game. She's not chasing trends or headline moments. She's building a long-lasting career, rooted in timeless music, cultural prestige, and artistic freedom. And in that context, her $1.5 to $3 million valuation isn't just a number, it's proof that authenticity, when paired with smart financial structure, can quietly outperform even the loudest fame chasers. As she matures and enters adulthood, industry watchers expect that her value will continue to climb, especially if she expands into film soundtracks, brand curation, or more exclusive licensing opportunities. In short, while others may be rich in hype, Angelina Jordan is rich in strategy, and in the long run, that might be the most powerful form of wealth an artist can have. In an industry overflowing with noise, spectacle, and endless reinvention, Angelina Jordan has become the ultimate paradox. A global star who whispers instead of screams, who builds instead of blasts, and who earns quietly while others flaunt loudly. Her journey from a shoeless 7-year-old on a Norwegian stage to a multi-millionaire jazz prodigy was never about chasing charts. It was about crafting meaning, protecting her essence, and rejecting the disposable fame that consumes so many young talents. Every move she's made, from signing with Republic Records to partnering with Quincy Jones, from avoiding flashy endorsements to leveraging private performances and literary ventures, has been part of a larger strategy that few even noticed was unfolding. While other stars flame out under the spotlight's heat, Angelina thrives in the shadows of sophistication, emerging only when the music calls her forward. Her financial success isn't just measured in streaming stats or book royalties. It's etched into the very framework of her brand, timeless, intentional, and fiercely protected by a family team that values artistry over algorithms. With a net worth hovering between $1.5 million and $3 million, she's proven that fame and fortune don't have to come at the cost of dignity, and that restraint can be just as profitable as risk. And as she matures, there's little doubt that new chapters await, albums that dig even deeper, international tours that redefine jazz for a new generation, and possibly even ventures into film, fashion, or philanthropy, all on her own terms. Angelina Jordan is not just a musician. She's a case study in sustainable stardom, a blueprint for building a career with integrity in an age of instant gratification. In a world obsessed with what's next, she reminds us that greatness isn't always loud. It can be barefoot, soulful, and quietly changing the world, one note at a time.